Welcome to Pink Kink,
where we are ready to guide you through the wild and wonderful world of kink.
I'm Princess Rara.
And I'm Dara, the Electro Khaleesi.
Whether you are a baby kinkster, a seasoned pro, or just here for the entertainment, Pink Kink will help you level up your kink knowledge.
Join us as we share our own wild, sometimes awkward, but always entertaining experiences and spill the tea from our combined 30-plus years in the private and professional kink worlds.
So grab your favorite flogger or wand.
Thank you.
And buckle up. You'll learn, you'll laugh, and who knows, you might just spit out your coffee.
Let's get this kinky party started.
Want more Pink Kink in your life? Join our Patreon and get ready for a whole lot of kinky fun and exclusive perks.
As a patron, you'll unlock access to our private Discord server where you can connect with fellow kinksters and chat directly with us. You'll also score adorable Pink Kink stickers and enjoy a monthly behind-the-scenes podcast packed with juicy tidbits we don't share anywhere else. Plus, get sweet discounts at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique, and on our online classes at Pink Kink Institute.
Wait, there's more.
More?
Our impactful and electrifying Pink Kinksters get extras, such as bonus content and free digital downloads. Oh, and let's not forget, the Pink Standard of patrons will be recognized as producers on both the podcast and on our website, because we couldn't do this without you.
Pink Kink runs on the love and support of our amazing patrons, so join the party today. Visit us at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast or click on the link on pinkkinkpodcast.com.
Today's episode is produced by our electrifying Pink Kinksters. Thank you, Jay, Witcherman, Daddy J, Naughty and Nice, Butte Pain, Manda Panda, Cat, Stefan, Shadow Phoenix, Zura, Enchanted Sparrow, The Wombat, Impact Hazard, Twitch, The Midnight Girl, Sinful, J21, Daisy If You Do, Serenity, Belle, Eric, S'more, Hacksaw, Devoted Knight, AM Thoughts, Crash Override, Swiper, No Swiping, Barbie.
Navigator Bard, Mr. Pillsbury, Peaches, Mighty Owl, Chaos Monster, Jessa Lady, Jack, Ophelia, Birchbeard, Lady to Kitten, Sadia Lemon, Ben, Noir, Freddie Queen, Elysium Rose, Avalia, Nora Morapora, Bricks, Wonder Chris, Cheshi, Manders, Ashley B, Swinging Amish, Dark Gaia, Hyper Tarantula, Sunny B, Kane, Aura Lynn. I have a shtick.
Yay, a shtick!
I didn't go out last night, but it sort of has to do with yesterday. So this is going to be kind of funny. I found out what it was like to be you yesterday.
Uh-oh. Which part of me?
It was really weird. So I had all this energy yesterday and I accomplished so much. And weirdly enough, I wasn't in pain. Like my legs worked. Miracle of miracles. I don't know what happened. I mean, I took ibuprofen an hour before I started, but I made macarons yesterday, which, you know, is very time consuming, difficult, tedious. You have to do all these steps. And if you miss a step, you fuck up. So
it's got to be just right every time.
It has to be perfect. And I've gotten to the point where I can make these things almost in my sleep, right? I still have my recipe book out, but at this point, I know what it is. I just use the recipe book to double check.
Are you sleep macaroning?
Macaroni? It sounds like macaroni.
Feather in his cap?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. But yesterday I had so much energy, I couldn't stop moving. I think I sat still for a grand total of 7 minutes at one time. Like that's the longest I sat. And I know it was 7 minutes. And Daddy J was asking me, how the fuck do you know it was 7 minutes exactly? I said, because that's how long the macaron shells were in the oven. And that's when my timer would go off and I'd have to run over to the oven to get it. So while the macarons were doing their macaroning, I would sit and edit episode, like the episode that I was working on. So I was doing one thing in the kitchen, which reminded me of when you're doing your baking, your cooking for the week thing. Just running around doing all of that.
Like a chicken with my head cut off. Yep.
Right. And during the downtime, you're working on podcast stuff. And then after that, I was like, I forgot to make the dog food. So I had to hurry up and make the dog food. So I had to order the groceries. I had to wait for that. And then I put all the groceries away. And then I made the dog food. And then I had to do other stuff. And I think I cleaned the kitchen like 3 times yesterday total between stuff because it was driving me crazy. And then I still wasn't in pain. And I was like, okay, you know, I can do more stuff. So I started rearranging my books and doing all these things. And I was confused. And then I was like, is this what it's like to be rah-rah?
to get all the, you just keep going and it doesn't stop.
I couldn't physically sit down. Even after it was done, so Daddy J was like, "Hey, do you want dinner? Like, I assume you haven't eaten all day." And I said, "Oh, I've eaten." He says, "Uh-huh." I said, "Yeah, broken and leftover macaron shells that didn't actually make it into the these are good section. I lost 2 trays because I tried to shortcut something. Oh, I was pissed. It was my own damn fault. I tried to use the other oven and I don't know the timings for the other oven and I fucked up.
Goodness gracious.
That was my fault.
I'm sorry.
So I can only use one oven at a time, but it was so freaking wild. I mean, it was. So I got food and everything because the only thing I had eaten was literally like macaron shells. And macaron batter that was like on my arm or something. I would like lick that off. Tasty. And it was so weird to not be in pain and have all this focused energy. And I'm like, is this what it's like for a normal person that doesn't have a chronic illness and not ADHD? Because this is weird.
Yeah. It's exhausting though, because you just keep going and going and going. It's like the little Energizer bunny.
I couldn't stop. Why couldn't I stop? I was trying to and I couldn't.
Don't try to stop it. If you feel that way, get as much as you can done because you don't know how long it's going to last or when it will ever happen again.
Right. I know that, but I was also very, very worried that I was going to overdo it and be in excruciating pain. Like it would just hit me really bad. And I was just like, all right, I have to stop at some point and give my legs a break. But I just kept popping up out of my chair. I was trying to watch the pit and I was like, oh, I have to do this. And then nothing. I would do things and then I would sit down. Oh, I have to do this. And I would do the thing. And then I would sit down. I was like, what is happening? So anyway, I became you yesterday and it was a very strange experience.
Did you collapse at some point?
When I went to bed, actually, no, not even because I went to bed at the later than normal time. And then it took me an hour and a half to get to sleep. I mean, I had to take 2 melatonins.
Yeah. That's why I get a lot of reading done because I get into bed and I'm still so wired. I need to read to calm down.
It was weird. So now you've experienced me and I've experienced you.
Yep.
And not in a sexual way.
There's got to be a happy medium.
I wish there was because I woke up this morning and I was pretty sore. I'm doing okay. I don't have the energy that I did yesterday, but it's definitely my legs are going, you shouldn't have done that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I wish there was a happy medium somewhere.
There is.
That was exhausting.
Anybody out there? Are you the happy medium? Could you let us know? Because Dar and I haven't figured that out yet.
It's like we are at one extreme and the other. And it's I always I look at you and I go, how the fuck are you actually able to do all this? And you're like, I can't not do all this because the energy pouring through me is not letting me sit still. And I'm going, I would love to be able to do all this, but I don't have the energy reserves.
Yeah.
At all.
Today I don't have them either because dungeon night plus daylight savings equals one fucking exhausted princess.
Yep. I still have to do the other half of the macarons today. So I'm just kind of going, oh my God. Okay.
It's going to be okay. You're going to do this.
That's okay. I filled 64 strawberries and cream macarons. I have to do the chocolate espresso ones next.
That sounds good.
You want me to save you? Oh, I won't see you this week. Never mind.
No, it's okay. It's all right. I don't
save you one, but
I don't need it just because I can't have everything in life I want.
I almost never eat the actual macaron itself once I'm done making all of them because 1, I'm sick to death of them at that point. And 2, I've eaten all the broken ones already. So what's the point?
You're full.
I'm done. I am replete.
Replete. Good word.
I do words for a living.
I don't. I'd like to do words for a living. Fuck you, asshole. But no, that's so frowned upon at work.
I was going to say, those are probably not work-appropriate words.
I want to know, does anybody out there have a job where they are allowed to say those things? Because maybe I need a career change.
Probably performers.
Only if it's in the script.
No, I was going to say comedians can probably get away with that.
And I am kind of funny, but I can't be funny intentionally. I'm just funny accidentally. Well,
how?
Because I say something and it might be funny, it might not be, but it's not like a joke. It's not like a planned bit. It's I'm going to tell you a funny story and hope other people laugh too.
That's true.
I know. But today's episode is not a funny one.
No.
Though I'm sure, knowing us, we'll get humor in here somewhere because we can't help ourselves. We always have to find the laughter even in the serious.
Yes. I mean, we did an entire thing where we talked about the slavery and not slavery, the racism fetish,
Yep.
which I guess included slavery, and we still kind of were funny. So
Yeah.
I think we're good.
I can't help it. I like to laugh a lot.
It does help the world.
I know. So today we are going to be talking about rebuilding trust after a boundary has been broken. Now, boundary breaks, they're going to happen. People are peopling and they're human. And a lot of time in relationships and or dynamics, people make mistakes and we have to give them grace for those mistakes. They don't, they broke a boundary unintentionally or they forgot. And it doesn't automatically mean if a boundary is broken that there's abuse involved or that something important went wrong. But the fact is there's still repercussions. You'll probably feeling shock and anger and sadness, maybe even a little bit of shame if you're the person who broke the boundary. The other person might be feeling, oh my God, I thought I was safe and look what happened. So I really wanted to kind of talk about what those next steps are. Now, in this episode, we are going to assume that repair, both people in the relationship want repair. Having, one of them, like Voldemort, who did break a boundary, who doesn't think a boundary was broken and doesn't deserve and didn't want to fix anything. That's not what we're talking about.
But also several boundaries in his case. So like repeatedly, so not really the same thing.
No. But in this one, we're going with the assumption that both people involved are like, we want to fix this. We need to get past this. It's not about forcing anybody to forgive anybody, right? The whole thing is that people can choose not to forgive you if you've hurt them, and that's their right. And just because you apologize, even if it's the most sincere apology, just because you apologize doesn't mean the other person is going to forgive you, nor do they have to forgive you. And let's also face it, sometimes when boundaries have been broken, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you want to fix things, trust doesn't always come back. But just because that happens doesn't mean somebody is necessarily a villain, right? When we all do stupid things sometimes that hurt people. I know I've done it. I assume Dara's done it because we're human. And sometimes we do things without thinking, or our mouths work faster than our brains.
We do.
So it doesn't mean the person who broke the trust is horrible, awful, and abusive and a villain. It just means that they're human. So what do we mean when we talk about boundaries? Well, boundaries are not limited to just hard limits. There's so much more. They can include the soft limits. They can include emotional boundaries, maybe context rules or timing rules. And even if you're in a DS dynamic, agreements about power. I had a Dom at one point that really tried to control things I didn't want them to control. And so my boundary is what you can control. And I wouldn't consider that a hard limit. That was just a boundary that I had set for our dynamic. And once he tried to control that, I was like, hold on a minute here. Not okay. That was that.
Yeah. I remember.
Right. He wanted to set up a boundary specifically that I could not respond to DMs without his permission. And I said, I'm not okay with that because I'm not just somebody who does kink. I'm a munch host. I'm an educator. I need to be able to respond when people send me DMs and not wait for you to look it over, approve it, and whatever. And so that was the boundary I had very clearly set. Occasionally, he still tried to say he needed to see them. So that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah, that just came across way too controlling, way too quickly.
That's why we only lasted 3 months. That was not going to work for me.
No.
Now, boundaries are so important, period. But within kink, they're especially important because we really pride ourselves on not doing anything without consent. It's kind of our thing. It's our shtick, right? Consent is a big deal to us. We negotiate things, we agree to things, and we put a lot of faith and trust that the people that we are with are going to not actually break a boundary. Power exchange relationships, those amplify everything, right? Trust is not something that's optional. If you can't trust your dominant or your submissive, how do you have a dynamic? I mean, I don't think you can have any relationship if you don't trust your partner. But there's just something about DS dynamics that bring trust, like multiply it. And it's that whole foundation of the dynamic. You are, especially as a submissive, you are giving your power to your partner. And how do you give power to somebody that you don't trust will honor that and take it seriously and take care of it? When you are the submissive, if a boundary break happens, there's a loss of safety. I trusted this person. I gave myself to this person. I was supposed to be in a safe place. They were my safe place. And now they've broken your boundary and they're not so safe anymore. And then you start to like doubt yourself. Should I have trusted them? Why did I trust them? Was there a red flag that I didn't see? Did I make a mistake? You tend to take that onus upon yourself that you fucked up, even though they're the one that broke the boundary. If you're the top or dominant and you broke somebody's boundary, there's the shame and the fear, especially assuming you're somebody who actually gives a shit. If you're somebody who doesn't give a shit, then yeah, we're not necessarily talking to you because we're going to kick you out the door. But if you're somebody who cares, right, there's a lot of shame like, oh my God, I fucked up. I took my partner's trust and I messed with it and I hurt them emotionally, physically, mentally, whatever. There's, of course, the worry about, my reputation. Is somebody going to look at what I did and think I'm abusive? Is my partner going to talk to their friends and share the story of what happened with it? And now those friends are looking at me differently and think I'm a predator and a red flag. And now they start telling other people. And next thing you know, the whole community is like, stay away from that person. And a lot of times you just have this urge to try to defend yourself instead of shutting up and listening to the party that got hurt. You're like, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. I'll learn better. Whatever. It happens. So, and then now for both of you, the relationship feels a little unstable. So, Dar, have you ever had that happen where you've had the trust in your dynamic shaken?
Plenty of times. My ex-husband, I mean, there's a reason he's my ex-husband. My first ex, boundaries crossed, could not forgive that one at all, though, because it was a mega boundary. It was also the second or third time he had broken it. I was absolutely fucking done. I mean, I sort of could forgive the first one, worked on it, kept going. And then by the time this one rolled around, I was just like, nope, we're done. Cannot be here.
For me, like, obviously, for those of you who've been following along long enough, Voldemort broke my trust big time. And not just once. And kind of shame on me for letting it last as long as it did. But one of the things that happened is I really think that was a large part of why I really let go of my submissiveness and walked away for it, because here was a time where I allowed myself to be vulnerable and allowed somebody else to kind of have that authority over me. And look what happened and look what they did with it. And I was kind of like, I don't know that I'm ever going to be willing to do that again and let go of control like that. And so I'm sure a lot of people have run into that situation. Now, once the boundary has been broken, the first thing you really kind of need to do is just pause. Take a deep breath and pause, because too often this is the part where people kind of like rush into fixing things or apologizing or defending, and it doesn't solve anything. So everybody needs to just kind of stop and take a deep breath, because you're not going to be able to repair the situation while your nervous system is overloaded. If this happened, especially during a scene, or it happened when you're in the middle of doing something that was specific to your dynamic versus you're just a couple and you were out at the grocery store type thing, right? This is something happened specifically within your dynamic. You've got adrenaline and maybe even fear that are just kind of on overload from all of this. And it tends to make people really defensive.
Well, so actually, interestingly enough, I think I've shared this story before. Daddy J crossed a boundary when we first started dating. And it was in public. He reached out and like grabbed my boob. We were in the parking lot of, I don't know if it was a grocery store or a Walmart or something. It doesn't really matter. But to me, it doesn't matter if anybody else is around. That's public. If it's not in my house, it's public, right? And to him, it wasn't because nobody else was around. I don't give a shit. I told you not to do that. And I actually like punched him or slapped him in the face or whatever it was. Because my first reaction is hit first, ask questions later. It always has been. I was in therapy for it as a child. But he was like, oh, wait, okay. I did something bad. And I was like, yeah, you fucking did. But obviously it worked out because I told him, hey, that's a boundary. You know it's a boundary. What the hell are you doing? And he said, well, this is why I didn't think it was a boundary. And then we kind of went, and I said, no, that's still a boundary. This is my boundary. I get to make the rules of what it is. This is public. And he goes, okay. And he never did it again.
Yeah. I mean, when this happens, you can either have like adrenaline in Dar's case, which forces you to punch or hit the person.
Always.
Right?
Don't fuck with me.
Or there's also the freeze.
Mm-hmm. I've also experienced that.
Fawning, where you just kind of want to get yourself into a safe situation. So you go along with it. You agree to it. Just kind of end things or.
Yeah, get it over with as soon as possible so that you can get away. It's like, it's kind of like what they tell you, and this is where we're going to get the serious part. It's kind of like what they tell you when you're being attacked, like SA'd. You just like sort of at one point you just kind of go, I'm just going to let them do what they want so they don't kill me. It's almost a that mindset type of situation.
Absolutely. Or you can have like the situation that I talked about at Winter Fire with the guy with the penis person whose penis was hanging over my water cup. And I didn't say anything because honestly, I just stood there staring at them going, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? Nah, I can't possibly be seeing what I think I'm seeing. And by the time I'm like, no, that really is what I think I'm seeing, they were done and walked away.
So I think that would be considered freeze, where you're just kind of questioning, wait, what? And like you can't react yet because you're still processing that it's happening. I'm pretty sure that would be in the freeze. Is that
considered freeze? Yeah. Because that's probably for me. I don't fawn. I'm either going to fight or I'm going to sit there and go, did that really fucking happen?
Yeah, I'm either freeze or fight. It depends on the situation.
But the important thing is when that happens, it's not going to really be able to allow an honest discussion of what happened and what do we do about it at this point. So you need to kind of take a pause, whether it's an immediate pause that's just like a minute or two, or whether it's a longer pause. It really helps you, first of all, let your body settle, let your chemicals come down. It allows you to stop letting emotions take over. You want to really be able to have discussions from a place of thinking instead of reacting. Maybe depending upon what the boundary is that was broken, you need to give yourself some physical care or, like some sleep. I know sometimes I'm like, I need to sleep on it because I guess similar to Dara, though I didn't seek therapy for this one, therapy for other things.
Oh, I didn't say I sought therapy for it. I was put into therapy.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah. I didn't, maybe it's because I didn't hit. I just used my words. I didn't hit anybody. I was very quick to react and get angry and do or say things I probably shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. And so I've now had to learn to kind of not react yet because I like to have time to think. First of all, I like to think about what happened and think, do I have a right to be angry? And when I mean, do I have a right to be angry? I don't mean that I'm not allowed to be upset about something. It's more like, am I overreacting? Did I put something into this that actually didn't happen?
Can I just say how thankful I am that you have that mindset and you don't have that very stereotypical New York, reaction, that bitchy, like that it's so incredibly stereotypical. But I just had an experience with it again at work. And I thought I got rid of it at my last job. This chick was literally one of the reasons I left my last building. And I went to a different area of my job, and I was just like, I cannot stand this attitude shit anymore. And then I come in, there's another one, and I was like, I'm never going to get out of here. Never going to get rid of this.
I had to teach myself Because what ends up happening in those instances, my reaction was so big and so bad that it overshadowed whatever the other person did.
Yeah.
So instead of me being, let's say, the victim in a situation, they become the victim because of my reaction. And I didn't like that because they were the ones who really did something wrong in the first place. So I've had to learn to kind of pause and take a deep breath. So as I said, one, I decide, do I really have a right to be angry? Did they really do something to justify my anger? Or am I being oversensitive? Am I assuming things I shouldn't assume all of that? Then the second step that I also reason I like to take a pause is sometimes I am truly angry at the beginning. But it turns out it's not that big of a deal. And if I just wait a day or two, I will be over it.
It's such a toxic mindset when you don't do that. And I know it's people's first reactions, but you can change your reactions. I mean, I don't just go around and hit everybody anymore, you know?
That's good. That could get you in trouble at
Only,
work. But
when they
okay.
well, now let's just say I still want to.
That's a different thing.
I really do. I said oh my God, I was having such a great time. Somebody was pissing me off the other day. And in my head, I was shoving them out of this really, really tiny window. And they kept getting stuck and I just kept shoving. And it was great. It was such a beautiful, imaginative moment.
I love that. But yeah, so maybe you need to eat something because, maybe you're hangry. I don't know. Maybe you need to have time during this pause to journal what happened and work it out. A thing I like to do sometimes is talk to a trusted friend who will hear me out to kind of say to me sometimes, Rara, that you're justified in being upset. I'd be upset if that happened too. Or, Rara, remember that person, they don't necessarily
stupid.
mean that. You're not thinking,
oh,
yes, I know they said it that way, but you know them well enough to know that's not really what they meant. Somebody to be a voice of reason.
My new favorite thing is to write in ChatGPT what I really think and then ask it to make it more polite. And then I send it to the person.
Yeah, now I don't have to do it for you. The amount of times I've had to rewrite stuff for Dara.
Yeah.
So it didn't sound angry.
Oh my God. So many times in the server, I've messaged Rara and I'm like, okay, I really want a bad cop right now, but if I do that, it's going to really wreck things. I'm going to need you to fix this right here. And then I'd send her this book of absolute fucking ranty shit. And she'd be like, okay, I'm going to translate this for you.
That was, what is that Key and Peele? There was one
Obama's
of their characters.
anger translator. So
yes.
Not only are you my sarcasm translator, but you're my anger translator.
Yes.
Wait, which one of us is Key and which one's Peele? I don't actually remember.
Well,
doesn't matter. I don't know the difference between them anyway.
Jordan Peele is the shorter one.
Got you. Okay, so you're Key and I'm Peele.
Goodness gracious.
No, but God, do you remember that one dude? Every single fucking day, I'd be like, rah rah.
I'm like, I got this.
Rah rah. Fix it. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna reach through the fucking computer and he's gonna die.
Yeah, we can't allow that. That is, as much as I didn't necessarily disagree with you, it's illegal and you wouldn't do well in prisons.
No, I would not. Every day. Can I have the talk, please? Please give me the talk. I need the talk.
Help you. And what taking a pause is, it's not silent treatment. It's not punishing somebody for what they did. And it's also not avoiding it. So it's really helpful if you say to the person things like, look, I care enough about us to just slow down for a minute. I need to take a pause. I've said this a lot. I need time so I don't make this worse by saying something I shouldn't say. So let the other person
way harder
know,
than it sounds to do.
right? And if you live together, I know that we were all told growing up, never go to bed angry. I'm sorry, if I try to solve it before I went to sleep, I'd be even more sleep deprived than I already am.
Yeah, because you'd be up for another 72 hours.
Yep. I don't think that there's anything wrong with going to bed angry, personally. I'm not a therapist, though, so somebody else might disagree with me. But before you go to bed, just say to your partner, hey, I just need to table this discussion. I need a little time to just kind of calm myself down and have time to process and think about things before we discuss it. So let them know that You're not trying to avoid it. You're not trying to forget about it. You just need to pause this. Now, the next thing that we know, this is one of my favorite words. And for me, it's a new favorite word. I don't remember hearing this word a lot growing up, but I know it's one of the big popular words right now, and I kind of like it. And that's accountability.
Yep.
I mean, it's not that I'm saying it didn't exist back in my day, when we walked 5 miles to school up a hill in the snow barefoot, but it just wasn't a word that people really discussed. And I do like it. So accountability is about impact, not intent. That's another one that I've really learned to embrace, and that it's not about the intent. It's about the impact. You can say or do something that you really didn't mean to cause harm. You really weren't coming at it from a place of anger or being nasty, but that doesn't mean it didn't hurt the person. And it doesn't mean you're still not responsible for what you did, even if your intention was not to hurt them. And accountability really starts with clarity. Name exactly what the boundary was crossed. Don't use vague language. Don't try to minimize it. Really say what happened. And that's from both sides. Like, right, if you're the person whose boundary was crossed, be very specific about what the boundary was and how that made you feel. If you're the person who did the crossing, right, really own it. I crossed this boundary. And name it. And then say, and this is how I understand the impact was, or I believe that when I crossed the boundary, this was the impact. Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with you explaining the intent as well, not to justify, not to defend yourself, but just to explain. Because sometimes I know for me, I need to know what your intention was, because that helps me understand you better. And maybe I'll be less angry if I understand your intention.
Or maybe I'll be more angry if I understand your intention. Let's be honest.
Well, yes. I mean, maybe I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, and I shouldn't, because your intention was not a bit to hurt me, but it still wasn't great.
Right.
So, now accountability is not explaining it over and over till the other person gives up. My first ex-husband was like that. He kept thinking if he explained why he did something, I would eventually understand and agree with him.
Ew.
And it drove me nuts, because I understood why he did what he did. Didn't make it right. It didn't make it okay.
The other problem is he's not willing to listen to your side. He thinks he's right, and that's all there is to it, and end of story. And you must conform to his way of thinking.
Yep.
Good thing he's dead.
Yep. Well, I think looking back now, and I didn't know better in the time. I mean, this was the early 90s. He was probably on the spectrum. And a lot of his behavior is very spectrum behavior. As I talked about it on here before, my eldest is on the spectrum.
I was going to say, your son had to get it from somewhere.
Yep. And the fact that the other two don't have, this is the running joke in my family. If my oldest has it, but my other two don't, then they couldn't have gotten it from me. Because then the other two would have it too. Would have had to get it from his bio dad. But if the other two have it, then I can't necessarily escape blame for it. But my oldest does occasionally get to that place where if he keeps explaining something and all these different ways of explaining it, maybe I'll eventually agree. And it's like, no, I can completely understand where you're coming from and still disagree with you and still think it was wrong.
Yeah, but the thing is, you don't have to agree with everything everybody says. That's like, just because you think you are correct does not mean you're correct. I actually had this conversation with somebody the other day. I was trying to explain that just because you say that your opinion is fact does not make it a fact.
Mm-hmm.
So I could say cats are the worst animals and dogs are the best. Fact doesn't make it a fact. It still makes it a damn opinion.
Yeah, this is why impact is what needs to be the focus and not intent. Because, as I said, sometimes you do things with the best of intentions, but the impact is still you hurt somebody, or you broke their trust, or you crossed a boundary, whatever it is. So accountability is also not defensiveness. It's not a court of law where you need to defend yourself and hopefully they will find you not guilty. It is not emotional and trauma dumping. I know I broke your boundary and this is why I did this, because of the way I was raised and what my mother did to me. And she showed me all these things. Like, that's not going to work.
Yeah, no, that's actually going to make it worse.
Yeah.
That's going to be me going, okay, fuck you. I can't trust you to
Like,
ever,
go to therapy.
you know,
Go to therapy.
like, don't go to me. Go someplace else. Bye. Find somebody who gives a shit about your emotional, like, issues.
Emotional damage.
Emotional damage. Like, I seriously don't. Anybody who does that, first thing I do is, bye. My brain immediately turns off.
And accountability is also not immediately asking for forgiveness and thinking you're going to get it. I'm sorry. It's like, no, hopefully forgiveness will come at the end, but also a reminder, even if they forgive you, that doesn't mean your relationship is going to start in the same place it was beforehand. I can forgive somebody and you still have to earn my trust back again.
Forgive does not automatically mean forget.
Oh, my grandmother taught me that. My grandmother said, forgive, but never forget.
Yeah, I kind of do that too. I don't necessarily even forgive either. I just pretend like it's all good. But I sit there and stew on it for years and years.
The fact that Dora's teeth are not ground to little tiny pieces from her, grinding her teeth to hold in the words.
I don't grind, I clench.
Okay, clench.
So therefore it is not as bad because I don't like wear down my teeth to a nub. I just like really hurt my jaw. But I don't remember if I told you, but way back in the day, when I was 6 years old, I'm gonna time travel.
See, it's fun doing the woo woo woo. Yeah,
I know. I love woo woo woo. When I was 6 years old, my parents had said something about there being a rat's nest in the backyard. And of course, being 6, I forgot about it until it was like convenient. And I think I was on a slip and slide and I was in a bathing suit and I had taken off my shirt and I was just in my bathing suit and I flung my shirt. And in my brain, it was right next to the rat's nest. It did not matter that my parents told me there were no more rats. It had been cleared. It was done. It was gone. In my brain, I was so scared of this thing. My mother, considering it was the 80s, locked me out of the house and said I couldn't come back in until I went and got my shirt. I was beyond terrified. It wasn't me being a brat. I was genuinely so scared of this thing that I started like pounding on the door and ramming my knee into the door. Well, guess what? I missed. I hit the glass. I, went through it, had to get stitches, all the things.
Oh, God.
Okay. So I told you that story to tell you this story.
Okay. Long way, but we're there.
Right. So, I don't know, 40 some odd years later, 30 some odd years later, I took my dogs to my parents' house because they have a huge freaking backyard and they like going there because it's fun to explore new things. And one of my dogs starts sniffing around this one area and it starts to like drop and roll. And I'm like, oh, shit, like, what is she getting into? And it was a goddamn dead rat covered in maggots. And now this thing was the biggest fucking rat, and there was a snake next to it. I'm like, well, that was a battle for the ages. So I'm like trying to get my dogs away from this thing and cover it up. And I went to my mom and I went to my dad and I said, hey, there's a rat. You told me 30 some odd years ago that you cleaned up the rat's nest and there was no rat's nest and you locked me out of the house because you said, and I'm like talking about all this stuff from like when I was 6.
Whoops, Daisy.
So when I tell you I can hold a grudge and bring it up,
yeah, look at you all these years later. I
am fully capable. I think it's a grand total of 36 years later. I can still bring it up and hold it against you.
It's all good. It's all good.
I have issues.
Anyway, I'm not going to, we're going to just move on from that one. Don't we all? We're still on accountability here.
Still love it when I talk.
Accountability. I'm just going to keep going. Accountability. Be prepared. It's going to require some discomfort on your part because you're going to have to just shut up and listen and hear how you fucked up, hear how you hurt somebody, hear how you've lost and broken trust. It's not easy. And you might have to sit with that guilt for a little bit or a lot of it. Accountability also includes making changes. Figuring out what you should have done and what you can do to ensure it doesn't happen again. How you can reduce the risks of it happening again and how you're going to need to check consent a lot more often. So let's kind of split it up a little. We're going to talk about when the dominant or top breaks the boundary, and then we'll cross over and talk about the submissive or bottom breaking the boundary, because let's face it, it can happen on either side. This is not just a top dom fuck up situation. Again, we're all human. We can all fuck up. Now, when you're the dom or top and you break a boundary, this can really feel especially devastating because as the top, we have a lot of responsibility. Somebody's put their trust in us to not harm them. And when we done fuck up, and when we fuck up by a boundary being crossed, it's pretty bad. When you break a boundary and you're the person with all the power and you break a boundary, the safety feels violated. The partner that you've hurt feels really unsafe and like, oh my God, I put my trust in this person and I shouldn't have. They feel foolish for trusting you. And they may even be worried about speaking up and saying something, especially if, let's say, you're in a master-slave relationship. Or you're a newer submissive and you with a more experienced dom and you're afraid to speak up and say something. Your accountability at this point is clear ownership of what you did without any excuses. Admit it. I fucked up. Period. That's a complete sentence right there that doesn't require anything after it.
Yep, that's it.
There should be zero expectation of any comfort from the injured partner. They are not responsible for trying to make you feel better for your fuck up. And you should not expect them to. And I know this one's really hard for me, so I'm assuming it's hard for a lot of people. Shutting up and then listening when somebody is explaining to you what happened, what their perception is of what went wrong and how you hurt them. And you have to not only shut up and listen, but you can't correct them. If they say this is what happened, say, well, actually, no. Because remember, what do they say? There's 3 sides to every story. Hers, and what actually happened. Well, that's the case. There's the top side, the bottom side, and then what actually happened is probably somewhere in the middle.
The witnesses may have more of the story.
Right. But I had a boss once who said this all the time. And as much as I hated hearing it because she said it incessantly, but she wasn't wrong. Perception is reality. How you perceive something is your reality. So somebody else trying to tell you that's actually not what happened, unless you have video, unless you literally have video or audio tape to replay for me, you are not going to convince me that I'm wrong.
Just really, really sucks that that's actually the truth. But yeah, it is, because your perception of what happened may be different than my perception of what happened because we're coming at it from 2 wildly different places and lenses.
That's my reality of what happened.
It's all about the bias.
So don't try to correct them about what they're thinking and feeling, and don't try to reframe it either. Now, the way that you're going to have to build trust from that side is through your behavior, not just through authority. It's not just about, I'm going to do all these rules and stuff and we're going to fix this. It's about really showing them. What does actions speak louder than words? Oh my God, we're just going to use all the phrases today in this episode. Actions speak louder than words. And that's what's going to rebuild the trust. Early rebuilding often means like stepping down. Maybe there's less intensity or less rules, even if you have to. And more transparency in what you're doing, more check-ins, how you're doing, where we're at. Ask instead of assume. Don't assume. If your partner is hesitating, accept that without sulking and pouting and putting out your lower lip.
Well, unless you're a little, in which case it's acceptable.
Well, yes, but you still have to.
You still have to act like a grown-up, but you're allowed to pout for a second, okay? All right.
Okay, yeah. Or pout internally.
Lower lip internally? So what, your lip is going in reverse?
Don't even. Yeah, no, that's not going to, you're going to get stuck like that. And then I'm going to have to really laugh.
Did you just mom me? Because that's something moms say to their kids when they don't want them to make faces.
Yep, I did.
God, that was not on my bingo
remember,
card.
I am old enough to be your mother.
Okay, but like barely legally. Barely. You are exactly 18 years older than me.
That's all it takes. It would have been legal. Well, it wouldn't have been legal when we had the sex because it would have been 9 months before.
That would have been whatever.
Okay, this is a tangent we do not need.
Weird.
We do not need this one. Be willing to hear your partner say, I'm not ready to play again. And that's acceptable. And I would like to say you can't get angry, but let's face it, nobody has that level of control of their emotions. But you shouldn't be angry. So if you feel anger about that, keep it to yourself. That's your problem, not their problem. And if they say to you, I don't know if I can get there again. I don't know if I can ever get past this. You're going to have to just accept that because that's That's what can happen when you cross a boundary. And again, remember, you do not get to decide when you're forgiven. That's the other person's job as to whether or not they forgive you, and if they do, when it's going to happen and how. You're just kind of going to have to accept it. Now, again, the other side can sometimes be the one that crosses a boundary. So what do you do when the submissive or bottom breaks the boundary? Well, this often gets mishandled because people kind of assume bottoms can't cause harm. It's always interesting when everybody focuses on dominant red flags and nobody talks about submissive red flags, as if submissives are somehow always innocent and pure. And they're not. Some of them are bad players, but some of them, all of them are human and therefore can fuck up at any given point in time. So, or they assume if the submissive or bottom breaks the boundary, it's just not as serious. It's not as big of a deal, which really diminishes the other side's feelings. And I'm not okay with that. Or what happens is if the submissive or bottom breaks boundary, the dominant kind of just goes straight to punishment. You fucked up, I'm going to punish you. And that's not going to solve anything. So what are some ways that, some of the common ways that a submissive might break a boundary? Just in case you were wondering. Maybe they're ignoring the protocols. And by ignoring the protocols, let's say maybe they've embarrassed their partner if they're at an event, or they've pushed limits without consent. Darn, I have talked about this many a time. We have our own limits. I know during a scene, if you are new and you are telling me, go harder, go harder, go harder, my answer to you is going to be, no, not really. I'm not comfortable with that because you're too new. And I'm allowed to have that boundary.
Everybody has boundaries and you just have to make sure you balance everything.
Maybe there's emotional boundary violations. I know I've done this. You're angry at your partner. They did something to annoy you, whatever. So you reach out to your bestie and you vent. And you kind of go, oh my God, here's what the shithead did. And I think I've actually said that this exact sentence. This is what the shithead did, yada, yada, yada. Well, now you've kind of shared information that maybe your partner didn't want shared. And it may affect your partner's relationship with your bestie. Us besties don't forget.
No.
You may forgive. Trust me, your bestie is not forgiving nearly as easily as you are forgiving.
And certainly not forgetting.
Oh, never. And so that becomes an issue because the bestie never looks at your partner quite the same again. Or there's also, of course, using kink to avoid difficult conversations. So how does accountability work for the bottom or the sub? Well, it's not that far different. They need to own the behavior without kind of beating themselves up and too much guilt, self-destruction, whatever. You fucked up. It happens. Again, humans fuck up. And especially, let's say you're newer. You're probably going to fuck up maybe a little bit more often because you're new and you're still learning and growing. Instead of naming the feeling, name the choice. I felt you did this. That's why I did that. Like, that's not going to work. I chose to do this because. Avoid that shame spiral of beating yourself up because shame doesn't rebuild trust. And it just spiral, right? You're going in circles. It gets you nowhere. So how can you rebuild trust from your side? Well, consistency over time is going to show it. Show that you are not going to break that boundary again. Follow through matters even more than apologies. Right? You know, the old, I'll believe it when I see it. I'm going to just throw as many of these in this episode as I can. I would have mentioned it as a drinking game at the beginning, but now it's too late unless somebody wants to listen again.
You can retroactively drink.
No, well, I mean, say we're going to have a drinking game and every time I use, like, what are these called? These phrases.
Catchphrase?
I don't know if it's a catchphrase. It's, it'll come to me later. Right now I'm blanking. I need more coffee.
As I sip coffee.
Yeah, I can't because I'm talking. Accept consequences without centering yourself as the victim. Like, I only did this because you did this. Like, you have control over yourself. You can choose, even if they, as we talked about earlier in this episode, if your reaction is so over the top, it kind of allows the other person to get away with something because people are more focused on your really bad reaction than what they did. When this happens, the Dom really needs to avoid turning this into a control grab. This is not your opportunity to go, I'm going to take more power because you fucked up. And you both, and kind of decide, honestly, whether repair feels possible. Can you get past this? Can you forgive your partner? So that's kind of what happens. Now, we could talk about like repair conversations that hopefully will actually help you move past this. The timing matters, right? Make sure you're being calm. That's more important than being clever. Use, like that therapy talk. This is how it landed for me. This is how I felt. This is what I need. Not this is what you have to do. This is where you made a mistake. All in the I sentences. If you start arguing details or comparing harm or scorekeeping or even rewriting intent, that's going to make things worse. And keep the repair conversations contained. Discuss just that immediate issue. Don't bring on, and also this happened, right? Like long spirals of that kind of stuff and moving out is just going to make things worse, cause more damage, and not actually help you repair anything. And see if you can look for some shared understanding about what happened, why it's important that you resolve this problem, and what changes you could make. It all needs to be together. Now, rebuilding trust can kind of look boring. Sorry, it's not, like it is in the movies where they just show up with a book or they make some grand gesture and now all is forgiven. Trust is not going to be rebuilt through those grand gestures.
No.
Real building looks like showing up consistently, respecting small boundaries, and doing the very unsexy but very crucial and important follow through.
Hold on. I have another quick story, I promise, just as an example. I had a boyfriend once who totally broke a boundary and again, groped me in public. What's up with this shit? And
I guess you're very gropable.
Well, I mean, have you seen my tits? Yes, but this was just ridiculous. It was again in a parking lot, and I again seemed to have this pattern. But it was at a party. He was completely fucking wasted, and I broke up with him on the spot, and I left the party. 2-something in the morning, 3-something in the morning, my friend calls, and she goes, "Come get your boyfriend." And I was like, "Well, he's not my boyfriend anymore." And she goes, "Just come get him anyway." I was like, "All right, fine." So I went and got this guy, took him to his house, threw him inside, and left. And a week or two later, it was my birthday, and I came home, and there was a diamond and sapphire tennis bracelet in a box on my bed. And apparently my dad had let him come in and put the present on the bed or something. And then he left, and I found this thing. And again, this is the whole grand gesture thing. I'm like, that is extremely not going to work. It made it worse. You think you can buy me with this? No. Are you crazy?
Did you keep the bracelet at least?
No, I went and returned it.
Okay.
No way was I keeping that thing. I don't wear bracelets anyway. So he's 3 kinds of stupid for not knowing that.
And repair is not a straight line, right? Some days you're going to feel good. Some days the hurt resurfaces. It's an up and down till eventually it does even out. But you can't expect it to be that way at the beginning. But when you even have those down days, it doesn't mean the repair has failed. It just means that healing takes time and it happens in layers. Now, let's face it, though, sometimes trust isn't going to come fully back. Whatever damage has happened is either the final straw. God, I am a New Yorker.
Are you sure that's New York or Boston?
No, I worked very hard to never get a Boston accent, but my New York accent came back thick when I lived in Boston. Probably from an effort not to have the Boston accent, because that is just not. Sorry to all my Boston listeners. It's just not a pretty accent.
I think it's cute.
Park the card, Harvard Square.
A little hard to understand, but still cute.
The final straw. There we go. Got it. Okay. Because some words are just hard in the morning. But sometimes repair changes the dynamic permanently and the relationship permanently. And it just doesn't look the same. And even with effort and care and everybody trying and good intentions, the trust never fully returns. But even when that happens, it doesn't mean that either party is bad. It doesn't mean that the person who broke the trust is a horrible person, or that the person who can't get the trust back is a horrible person for just not getting past it. It just means too much damage was done. Things have just changed too much, and you can't rebuild it anymore. So what do you do if the trust cannot be rebuilt? Well, if you do not live together, it's a little easier. Ending the dynamic is probably going to be your healthiest option, not playing together. You are allowed to maybe say, hey, we have to go our separate ways and not see them again. I know that happened with Voldemort. It was, I needed to not see him. that was the easiest way for me to heal, and then destroy him. But that was later.
Well, that came after you had thought about it for a little while. And you know the old saying, revenge is a dish best served cold.
Yeah. Well, and then he said I would never amount to anything in the lifestyle without him. And he should have known how competitive I am.
So wait. You did all of this just to prove him wrong, and I got dragged into it? Oh.
You know I like to win.
Crap.
It was like waving a red flag in front of a bull. What is it? If you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Oh, God. God, there's so many comments I want to make right now.
It's all okay.
In the interest of time.
I was going to say, you can't make them because I still have a little bit more to talk about, and we're nearing the end. You are allowed to grieve and walk away. It is okay. Even if the other person broke your trust and you know deep down they were wrong, you're still allowed to, and I should say, not only are they wrong, but you know it is not healthy for you to continue with them. You need to take space. That doesn't mean you can't be upset and sad about it and grieve about this broken relationship. And remember, you are not obligated to keep trying. You need to put your mental health and well-being first. And if that means walking away, you walk away. Now, if you live together or are married, that adds some real complexity to the whole situation. Your emotional safety still matters, even when logistics are hard. There's some short steps you can take. You can de-escalate or even pause the power exchange. You might also have to give up the power exchange, as sad as that seems.
I was going to say, that's actually kind of sad, but
it is very sad. But it's if you need the marriage to continue, it might be you need it to continue without a power exchange. Maybe you need to sleep in separate bedrooms for a night or two. Just was talking about this the other day. Going to bed angry. I think it's okay. Go to bed angry. It's all right. And make sure you're setting clear boundaries around touch and intimacy. I'm not in a place where I can have sex with you. I don't want to be hugged by you. A hug is not going to fix the problem. A hug is not going to make what I'm feeling go away.
Again, it's going to make it worse.
Marriage does not override consent. I know. Dara's going, yeah,
Oh, not going to say it. Not enough time. Not enough time.
Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture. I'm just pulling them all out.
Yeah, you are.
As many as I can get in one episode. Being married does not require staying together. You could love and care for somebody and realize that you are just not good together.
Barbara, it's either idioms or colloquialisms. That's the word you were looking for.
Thank you. Not idiots, but idioms. Gotcha. All right. Got it.
We're all a bunch of idioms. We got it.
Yes. Sometimes, even if you love and care for the person, you recognize that when I am with them, I am not a good version of myself. I am not a healthy version of myself. And we need to separate. That was my second marriage. My first marriage was abusive, asshole, whatever. My second marriage was a case of he's not a terrible, horrible person. We were just not good together anymore. And I didn't like who I had become being married to him. I'm a much better, nicer person not being married to him. I don't wish him evil. I did wish my first husband dead. It worked. So, don't make me angry. But my second husband, I've never wished that on him. And being married doesn't require that you forgive somebody. Sometimes somebody does something so awful, so horrible, you cannot forgive them. So some long-term possibilities is restructuring the relationship, removing kink from your relationship entirely. Maybe staying together in a different form as friends and roommates. Therapy, marital counseling. There is nothing wrong with seeking marital counseling. It doesn't mean you are weak. And I strongly recommend if power exchange was involved, try to find a kink-friendly therapist. I know it doesn't always work. I got really lucky when I saw a therapist and was talking to her about my DS relationship. She knew nothing about kink, but she was incredibly open-minded and willing to learn. And I appreciated that. But I know people who've gone to therapists where the therapist goes, well, you can't be in that relationship. It's unhealthy for you, meaning the DS, without actually ever learning about it and thinking about it. And that's not good. So NCFS, they have their, if you go to their website, they do have their kink-friendly therapists and other professionals. I think it's called CAPS is what it is. And if you stay together, that doesn't mean pretending it didn't happen. It just means you want to work through it and you believe you can. And if you end up leaving, it doesn't mean you failed.
I know those of us who've been divorced, we like to look at it as a failure, especially like I've been divorced twice. I always joke I'm not getting married for a third time because I'm not running the risk of three strikes and you're out.
I don't view them as my failures. I view them as their failures.
Yeah. See, I made the choice to marry my first husband and I shouldn't have. So that was my failure, mostly because I was young. I think if that happened again at, an older age, I probably would have had the strength to say, no, I'm not marrying you.
Yep,
But I was
same.
young. I was young and stupid. And my second marriage, that one I don't view so much as a failure because we just grew apart. And you don't know that that's going to happen. He wasn't a terrible, horrible man. We just grew apart and wanted different things. And health issues came up that we could never have predicted that would have come up that exacerbated the underlying problems that we had. So I guess since I'm looking at the clock and I'm running out of time here, I just want you to remember that trust is really rebuilt through behavior. They can promise all they want that these are the changes we're going to make. I'll never do this again. But you need to show me with your actions. You need to show me over time. I need to see the changes that you're making. I need to see the effort you're putting in to solve the problem. Repairing this takes courage from both sides, right? As the person who broke the boundary, I have to have courage to be willing to make changes and be honest about how I fucked up and really be willing to let go of control so I can listen to you so I know what to do to fix it. And on the other side, it takes courage to say, hey, I'm willing to be vulnerable and take a chance again. Staying is not always the best choice. Forgiveness is not always the best choice. And you are not a terrible, horrible person if you recognize that and decide to get out. Sometimes leaving can be the best act of self-respect and the kindest thing that you can do for yourself. Your boundaries matter, even after they've been crossed. And don't give up your boundaries because you're worried that they'll get crossed again, so I'll just throw out my boundaries. You matter too much to allow that to happen. But it's not an impossibility. It's just a lot of hard work, and you have to be able to be willing. Both sides have to be able to be willing to put in the hard work.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a minute of our fun and educational content. New episodes drop every Friday.
If you love what we do and want to help us keep creating, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/PinkKinkPodcast. You can also support our affiliates to benefit small businesses and us at the same time.
No extra cash? No problem. You can still help by spreading the word about your favorite kinky podcast. Share us with your friends, and don't forget to rate and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Those 5-star reviews mean the world to us. And those 5-star reviews go a long way in boosting our podcast through the algorithm and reaching more listeners.
Sign up for our Pink Kink Institute classes. Shop at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique. Stay connected with us on social media. You'll find all the links on our link tree posted in the show notes.
Your support means the world to us. So until next time, stay pink
and level up your kink knowledge.